Welcome back to BrandsTalk. Learn from thought leaders from different parts of the world, from CEOs, business owners, managers, and experts who are in the spotlight to tell their brand stories and share their first-hand insights. It's a show to help you develop and grow your brand in a more authentic and sustainable way, locally and globally. Whether it's your personal brand or company brand, your branded product, service, or cause. My name is Brigitte Bolkowski. I'm the founder and owner of Bridget Brands, a branding strategy boutique offering online courses, workshops, and one on one exclusive coaching. I help my clients craft meaningful branding strategies so that they can unleash their full potential to effectively elevate their personal and organizational brands and shine. So let's get started and dive with me into the world of brands. Today, I have a power woman as my guest. Her name is Martina Ernst. Martina is an experienced international manager, entrepreneur, consultant, networker, and a proven expert for fair and equal pay. In 2019 and 2020, Martina founded her own consulting companies, Salary Negotiation and Colourful Career, focusing on compensation, fair and equal pay, career leadership change, and diversity, equity, and inclusion. Martina has more than 20 years of experience in senior management in the finance and service industry, most recently as head of human resources at Erste Bank, Austria, as global HR business partner at Unit Credit headquarters in Milan, and as managing director CSE Europe and chairman of the supervisory board at Berlitz. Martina works in close cooperation with the WU Executive Academy, the Business School of Vienna University of Economics and Business, as a career partner, as president of the Female Leaders Network, as a board member of the International Advisory Board, as a lecturer at the Master's Program, and on the WU Board of Learners. She is an active member of Zukunft Frauen, Future Women, the leadership program of the Austrian Federal Ministry for Digitalization and Business and the Federation of Austrian Industry. I warmly welcome Martina Ernst. Welcome to BrandsTalk.
Bridget, it's my honor to be with you today.
It's all my honor. I'm so thankful you are here today, Martina. You are such a power woman and difficult to catch.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And so I'm really lucky to have you on my show so we can learn from your experience. So let us get right into it. So, could you tell us a little bit about your background, your journey that brought you right there where you are now? So, what's your story?
Yeah, you might ask yourself, why the hell is she offering and doing what she's doing? How is she qualified for it? Especially as when I was asked what I wanted to earn during my very first job interview, I said, I don't care as long as I can contribute to the company's success. Honestly, what a stupid question. Because if you don't ask for anything, you are taken by your word and you get exactly that, not anything. So, how then did I make this whole journey to where I am now? I think that something really drove me from my very first days on, and this was the quest for fairness. So I was a managing director and I had to design compensation systems for my employees. And then further on, as a head of HR, I also had to design compensation systems, revise compensation systems. And of course, I always had to negotiate salaries, not only for myself, but for all the employees. So as I always wanted to make sure that salaries are fair and equal, I decided to found my own company. And I really think it's high time to make sure that all companies offer fair and equal compensation. And I think it's not only important to help corporations, it's also my real mission and passion to help employees earn their worth and get the salary and career they deserve.
Wow, that's beautiful. So you started these two companies in 2019 and 2020. So it's the companies are called Salary Negotiations and Colourful Career. And when you started out these companies, so how was that journey to set up, I mean, two different companies? What was difficult? What was easygoing in terms of, this is a transformation. You're coming from being an employee, from yeah, a woman in the executive board, and then transforming and transitioning into solopreneurship, so or entrepreneurship. So, how was that journey for you?
It's a very good question because honestly, the journey was not a difficult one. It was more or less like a ride where I somehow decided at each station in which direction would I go next. And it was more or less a journey which was decided by my customers. When it comes to my company salary negotiations, my customers really asked me for this service. And this is why I set up the company. And then initially it was intended to only serve professionals and help them earn their worth. But then the companies came to me and said, listen, we want to make sure that we are a fair and equally paying employer. So please provide workshops for my employees and help us set up fair and equal pay. And this is how we developed an app. So now we help companies assessing their fair and equal pay structure and helping them to construct and build a better and more fair and a more transparent and predictable pay system. So this was one part. And the other thing, the colorful career, this was an idea I had already years ago when I was managing director and afterwards head of HR, because I saw that people get so much frustrated when their careers are not linear. But nowadays, linear careers almost don't exist anymore. It's really time for colorful careers. Our world has so many opportunities, and we should transmit this idea of how great it is to build your own colorful career, and that it's even more powerful than a linear career. And this is what really motivated me to come up with this brand Colorful Career. And now I think I was proven right, because I remember I had mentioned this notion of colorful career already, I think 20 years ago, 15 years ago. And now all the careers are more or less colorful. But
Yeah.
people still, especially in the German-speaking markets, many people still have this concept of I do this step and then my next step has to be linear. And I really want them to transfer a kind of joy also in these colorful careers.
I totally agree with you, and it's really interesting because the traditional way of climbing up the career ladder is you study and then you take on a job with a big corporation and you climb up the career ladder, and then maybe sooner or later you start your own business, if at all. And I was always, for example, I was a person, I never had this traditional career path. I was completely non-traditional and really, really colorful, because my path was from a flight attendant, then to becoming a student, and then going into corporate, and then back becoming a student, going back being a corporate, and then being a professor, and now starting my own business. And I think in the early days, it was like when you had kind of a colorful career, you didn't fit in. It was like, what's wrong with this person? Can we hire such a person? Because how long will this person stay with us and then walk away again? But nowadays it's really about something else. It's about really yeah, going for what you feel like you have to do and achieve your goals. And we are not now committing to a company anymore for, let's say, 10 years or for a lifetime. Things have changed.
Exactly. And it's even not possible, even if you want to commit for a lifetime. Very often companies have to change their structures every year. So you have to be flexible. And I think this is also what companies want.
Exactly. And also, COVID showed. So we witnessed kind of a work revolution, so which we termed the Great Resignation, the Great Reset, and people really now start examining their role of work in their lives, and they're rethinking where, how, and how they want to work where, for whom.
Yes.
And it goes very, very deep. So we are kind of really trying to fit in work and personal life, and it's a big decision to make. So with also that on our mind, let's circle back to what you are offering, because you mentioned you are helping not only companies but also individuals, especially I think also women, uh, to yeah,
Earn their worth.
earn
Yes,
worth and have
exactly.
salary negotiations so that they really can excel and earn, being able to earn their worth that
Yes,
they deserve, right? So what do you mean exactly by earn your worth?
yes. I, I always observe that especially women, they say it's super important for me to have a harmonious team, to get along extremely well with my boss or my supervisor, and to have a meaningful and purposeful job. And of course, this is super important. And I really don't advise anyone to fight. It's, in my opinion, fighting is often so unnecessary.
Mm.
But what I really want everybody to understand, when you deliver a service, the service has a price. And why should you be paid below price? Because you probably are the most fairest person on the moon or on the earth. And you would pay a fair price to someone who delivers a good service. So I really think we should not think of us when we negotiate. We should concentrate on the product or the service we are providing, and then make it more a non-emotional conversation. When we focus on what exactly we deliver for the customer, how we improve the customer's lives, then the customer would be astonished if we offer this service, this added value, undervalue. The customer would think, what's wrong with her?
Yeah.
What's wrong with the service? So it's really important to understand what is it I bring and how much would the market charge for it. It's not about me. It's about what exactly is my service worth on the market. So
Mm.
it's about the market value. And really asking too little is worse than asking a little bit too much, because everyone is used to negotiating and they will tell you very quickly, sorry, but can we do something about it? This does not really fit into our expectations.
So, how can we then step into our self worth, into this confidence? Because very often we say, oh my God, I can't charge this price. I really do not feel comfortable with that going out. Yeah. So, how can we boost that confidence? How can we really proudly stand behind that what we are worth, that our service is worth, with all the experience we have put into it? How can we do that?
There are many things you can do. First of all, you can start with networking and having the support of others, asking them, what would you pay for such a service, to get a better and a more objective feeling. Then you could think of what would I advise to my friend if she had to negotiate, brings you out of this emotional cloud. Then you could think of what would I do if I were my boss, because often the boss has to also sell your salary negotiation to his or her superior. So this is important to change perspectives. Then, before you start any kind of conversation and negotiation, you need to really prepare extremely well. What does it mean, preparing your self-worth? You have to write down for, I would even say a period of, let's say, 3 weeks, write down meticulously for 1 minute, 3 minutes a day. What was it you did especially well during this day, during in your job? And this gives you a much better and more objective idea of what you are delivering. And then you should also ask your colleagues where they think you are especially good at in your job. Because very often, everyone knows this inner critic. You know, we are all driven by our inner critics. So it's really time to say to your inner critic, thank you for protecting me all the way, but now it's time that I stand up and talk for myself. I really have appreciated your work and services, but now it's my turn.
Okay.
And then, sorry.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, no, no. And then it's also very important to know that little things like a power dress, a power pose, and the right kind of breathing, exhaling, these little tips, they really fortify you.
Okay.
And they strengthen you before you enter negotiations.
Yeah. So, apart from what you have mentioned, are there any other, let's say, tips, or is there any other advice you can give that we can best prepare for a successful salary negotiation? Do we need to take a training, or what should we look at in terms of wordings that we use, in terms of how our body language is like? Is there anything that you can also, um, yeah, give us a tip about?
Yes, it's really crucial to do the preparation right. 90% of your success are decided by a good preparation. So I highly advise to sit down and prepare. So you need to know about your market value. You have to Google it. It's nowadays it's quite easy. You can check around at any kind of website such as glassdoor.com and make sure that you know what you're worth. And the second thing is, as we said, fortify your self-worth. The third thing is, think about the added value you bring to to the company or to the corporation. And this is something which should not be underestimated, because at the end of the day, you are paid a premium for the added value and not for delivering a standard service. And you're not paid for your hard work. You're only paid for this added value. Let's say you bring a better quality, you improve the quality of the product for a company, you reduce costs, you increase sales, you smoothen and make a process more efficient. These are added values if it's not part of your normal job. And then the employer is really ready to honor this added value and pay more.
Mm.
And how can you find out what the added value could be? The best is to sit down with your employer and ask. It's very simple. You just ask, what is it you expect from me? How would you know that I delivered exceptional services? So prepare your next salary the negotiation already 1 year or half a year before you do it, because then you know exactly what to focus on.
Mm. Wow, that are great tips. There is one more I would like to look at. One more thing. It's that we are often fraught with fear when we are going into a sales negotiation or salary negotiation in specific when it comes to being employed with a company. And John F. Kennedy already quoted once, let us never negotiate out of fear, but let us never fear to negotiate. So, how can we cope with that? Is it really like, yes, the fear you are here right now, but you can go on vacation and or something like that? Is more this kind of positive self talk, or how do we cope with fear?
Yeah, it's a super important question because fear is what really hinders many people to even ask. And there is the first thing I tell you, the employer is not your enemy, the customer neither. So these are people who want more or less the same as you do. They want a successful service, a successful product, a super important contribution to the company's success. And they are ready and they know that they have to pay for it. So this is not their objective. The only thing you need to do is make sure that they understand the added value and why the service or your salary should be increased at the price of the service. So this is the first thing. You are not negotiating against anyone. It's together with someone. It's a win-win. And if you have this in your mind, already I think 50% of the fear is gone. Because especially women, they know so well how to bond with people. And it's nothing else, it's also a kind of a bonding. You just need to understand on which levers you have to press. This is the first thing. And the second thing is, as I said, a very good preparation reduces fear. Because think of it, whatever you do for the first time, it doesn't matter what it is. You're afraid or you are unsure and insecure. So you have to prepare. And when you prepare for a salary negotiation, please think of the arguments you want to bring forth,
Mhm.
speak them out loud. I always tell my clients, talk in front of a mirror. This is the weirdest thing you can do. It can't get worse. So that's a good thing. And then what you can do is think of all the counter arguments you will have to address or to cope with. So it's really not wise to go into a negotiation without any preparation. Also, the worst thing which can happen in such a negotiation is nothing. Because if you don't negotiate, you get nothing. If you fail in your negotiation, you get nothing. So at the end of the day, you don't risk anything. And the chance that you get more than what you had before you started negotiation is at least 50%. So I would advise everyone to increase this 50% chance to a 90% chance by preparing well.
Yeah, I think also this being well prepared gives you clarity. And when you have
Yeah,
clarity, you have less fear, or fear
it's
even
true.
disappears at all because you know, yeah, what the thing is, and what you're aiming for, and what you're confronted with, what you're getting into. And even if you fail, yeah, you have learned
Nothing happens.
something. Yeah, you have learned something.
Absolutely. And
Yeah,
you're better prepared for the next time.
exactly, exactly. And when it comes to negotiations, you also say it's an art. So, in how far is it an art? Why so?
Sometimes, when I think of negotiation, I think of a dance or a game.
Yeah.
And in this aspect, it's an art because it's really the art of playing this game, this dance of win-win.
Mhm.
It, if someone loses, it's probably the end of an employment, or it's the end of a fair and prosperous client customer relationship. So I think enjoy this game and take your time. Very often it does not end after one session. A negotiation can take 2 weeks, 3 weeks, can take a year.
Mm.
And if you stay relaxed and say, okay, the worst thing which happens is nothing. So keep on dancing.
Let's dance.
Exactly.
Absolutely. So, now back to your two companies. You said you are getting paid for the added value that you bring, that you create. So, what is your singular thing and the added value you create for your clients?
Mhm. There are thousands of wonderful negotiation experts, and there are many compensation and benefits experts. But so far, I have to admit, rarely there is a combination of both, because the negotiation expert has not really so much knowledge about compensation systems. So he can advise about general negotiation tips, but he wouldn't know what are all the levers someone can pull and press, and he wouldn't know how salaries are designed. So he doesn't know exactly what and how to negotiate. And when it comes to the compensation experts, they have to design the compensation systems for the company, but they do not negotiate
Hmm.
the system. They just design the system, they make sure that the system stays within the budget, but that's it. And I combine both parts. So it's like both sides of the medal.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, great. Now let's stay at the business side when it comes to salary negotiation in specific. We also have talked about now the one who wants to have a promotion and maybe a higher salary. So, what is a fair and equal pay, and how can a company become an even more attractive employer when it comes to remuneration? So, what does it encompass?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's a real passion of mine. Because when you look at fair and equal pay in a company, you would think, okay, we have to make sure that we pay market value. We have to make sure that women, and not only women, but all so-called minorities earn the same as the typical white male employee. And then that's it. It's not at all like this. This is one part, and this is, I would say, the tip of the iceberg. But below comes this huge topic of how do we transfer our corporate purpose into meaningful processes and into a meaningful remuneration and into an inclusive culture. Because at the end of the day, fairness is more than just a nice salary. Fairness is the treatment you get in your company. Fairness is the predictable feedback you get. Because often, company culture is nice, but it's not predictable. Everyone claps on your shoulder and says, you do it, Martina, so great, you do a great job. But when it comes to salary negotiations, you have no clue, is this enough to get to the next level, yes or no? So it's really connecting pay related processes to processes which are beyond pay, which drive the culture of a company, the culture of inclusion. And this is what nowadays employees really demand.
Hmm. Wonderful. Thank you so much. And I really see that there is your passion. Are there any tips for companies, let's say 3 tips and 3 musts to really guarantee this fairness?
Yeah. The first thing I would really advise every company to start with an assessment and see where are we. And what I really think crucial is an assessment which is anonymous and which starts with management, because the management needs to be aware how can we affect the strategy of our company with our remuneration system. The way how I pay people has a huge effect on how people behave and what kind of people I get on board. So it has to start with management. Then, of course, you have to also listen to what do my leaders and what do my employees say, and do it anonymously and do it separately, and then look first of all at the discrepancies between these three target groups, and you will be astonished. And this is a fantastic point of departure, and this is why we have established and invented an app to facilitate this assessment.
Mhm.
And then what you need to do is you need to know that fair and equal pay is a journey. It does not, you cannot just switch a lever and then you have it. You have to also change a little bit the way how you communicate with each other, how you involve people. You can't sit in a little office and design fair and equal pay. You need to involve all stakeholders.
Mhm.
So you need to create sounding boards, co-creation boards. That's really important, because if people have a say in what fair and equal remuneration should look like, you will really be much more assured to get it
Mhm.
as a company.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Martina. Great. So, in addition to what you're doing, you're running the two companies. You're also the president of the Female Leaders Network, a network by women for women, supporting or basically support for business women, right? So, what was your why for becoming the president of this network? And what is your mission for leading it in that sense?
Honestly, it was a long journey, because when I started my career, I was not at all into this man women thing. I always thought like everyone has the chance to get anywhere. And I never had seen this glass ceiling.
Mhm.
And then when I ended up being the head of HR, there were so many women who really showed me where their glass ceiling was, something I wasn't aware of. And when I listened to them, I was really shocked that I had somehow not seen this topic so clearly. And this is when I started to really fiercely defend the female cause. And from then on, I saw that you need to really work in a structured way to improve equality at the workplace. So that was my starting point. And then, you know, I always was very closely connected to the WU Executive Academy. And the one group of Global Executive MBA students started their Females Leaders Network, and they did it together with the dean of the university, and three out of them, and separately, approached me and asked me whether I could come on board. This was really by coincidence. And then I was so, I was really happy and said, of course, I'm happy to join, because already at that time I was fully into the female leaders topic. And then I think probably because I was the most senior, also at the time, career-wise, they asked me whether I could be their president. And I'm really happy and thankful that I can serve, because it's an amazing group of people. I can learn every day so much. It's really a win-win every second. We work with each other. And our mission is to inspire, to care and connect. So for the inspiration part, we we do meeting conferences, we do power hours, we call it. It's an online setting. We have live venues, and for the caring part, we really try to help each other get in careers, and recommending each other. And it really works. For example, now during the Ukraine crisis, we could help people find jobs immediately here in Austria at their level, not undervalued. And we could also provide apartments through our network because we are 1,500 people. And we are also closely connected to our male alumni, which in total we are 4,500 people. So this is a really powerful network.
And it spans globally, so your members are globally dispersed.
Yes, we are from, I think, in total 50 countries. And of course, the main focus is on Austria, the DACH region, and CE. But we also have people from Colombia, from the States, everywhere. We have little hubs everywhere, or chapters, how you call it in universities.
That's beautiful. Helping women level up. And yeah, it's important to being in a community where you have understanding, where everyone really has the same goal, and where you are not alone, because you can't
And
go it that far alone. But there is so much more you can achieve if you are in a group of like minded people who lift each other up, right?
And by the way, this networking for me, I really had very small network. And then I did my global executive MBA at the VU Executive Academy together with the University of Minnesota. And this is where my networking started because especially women hate networking. They think it's like standing there, like not knowing what to say, having to exchange the business card, and that's it. And I understood that networking is liking people, connecting with people with whom you have something in common, and bonding. It's not about small talk. This is not a network. A network is bonding, wanting to help each other. That's a network. So you have to give, you have to be ready to give your time, to give your advice, and then eventually you will also receive help and support.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Martina, you are a powerful woman. You are a thought leader and you have a fantastic career. You're running two businesses. So, on the way to get there, were there also some detours you had to take, and detours that really were significant in the way they shaped you and maybe still continue to shape you? Would you like to talk about one of these experiences you had?
Yes. I did two detours, and I really think the detours are the most important thing in your life. And this is why I'm so much into this colorful career topic, because my first detour was after a very classical career. I was progressing every 3 years. I was promoted, so I was reporting to the CEO internationally. I had the third biggest operation, and I think I was the first woman to be in this line function globally. And then I realized I I cannot progress any further, and I have to change something. So first, I tried to buy, to do a management buyout and pay and buy part of the operations together with an investor, but the company said they do not want to sell. I could franchise another part, but this was not interesting to me. So at the end of the day, I said, okay, it's the time to change. And everyone at the time said, are you nuts? How can you do that? The CEO said, listen, if you need a sabbatical, no problem. If you want to have different countries, no problem. But I really knew it's time to move on. And so everyone tells you you have to first find a job and then move on. But I was so into this old company, I was so loyal to them, I did not want to spend my time during my working time to find something else. And I was somehow not even ready to find something else. So I said, okay, I do a cut. I just quit and then I will see. And really, even my husband said, Martina, I think you're a bit nuts. and and but I had this feeling that's the right thing.
Yeah.
And this is I started, and I remember my very first day where I had nothing to do. It was so strange, and um, and then soon after, I thought, what is it I always wanted to do? And then I thought, I always wanted to do an MBA because I never had time to do it. I had always planned to do it already after 2 years of work experience, but then they continuously promoted me. So it was 16 years later that I thought, now I do my MBA. And this is how I came to the WU Executive Academy, how I started my network, how I then started my second career. And then at the age of 55, I thought, okay, I have enough money. I can really afford to do nothing. So I once again did this brutal cut. I said goodbye to my working experience, and I had 3 wonderful years where I did absolutely nothing work related. And I got job offers all the time, but I always declined everything because I really thought the world is so much more colorful, and I only know this professional little part of the world. I never had time to really do anything else. So I really enjoyed to the fullest. I did 3 yoga formations. I'm now currently also doing another formation, Feldenkrais it's called. And this really broadened my horizon. And I had already, before I had stopped my job, I had already done 2 formations as a consultant, one as a systemic consultant and as a coach with the ICF and with Neuwald Eck, which is a very prestigious systemic consulting company in Austria. And thanks to this combination of Feldenkrais, yoga, my coaching and consulting formations, and my business experience, I somehow now can bring all together and serve my clients.
Yeah, beautiful. And that what happens when you're going with the feeling, with this,
Yeah.
what your inner gut tells you. There is an urge, you need to do that against all odds, against everything that you actually basically stand for at the moment, and what is more like your rational thinking and what your head tells you. If you go with the inner gut, then you see how you changed your life, and how you impact other people's lives, and what success came out of it. So that's a beautiful story. Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Martina. All right, so before we come to the end of our show, Martina, I would like to do a quick word wrap with you. Are you ready to give me quick and short answers?
Let's hope. I'm not good at that.
So, women.
Should I say something now?
Exactly. So when it comes to women, what's the first thing?
Need to empower each other.
Okay. Money.
Money is important to create the life you want to have.
Yeah. Empowerment.
Empowerment is when you are allowed to step on the shoulders of someone and to rise.
Okay. Human resources.
Human resources needs to be a function which serves the employees.
Okay. And last but not least, brands.
Brands are important because this is what you stand for.
Wonderful. Thank you, Martina. And where can listeners find you if they want to get in touch with you?
Listeners can find me on www.salarynegotiations.at and on all social media channels.
Okay.
Not all, but many.
Them, right? Martina, thank you so much for being my guest today on BrandsTalk. It was such a pleasure having you and to learn about how we can earn our worth, because we are so much worth it and we deserve it, and how we can excel in our salary negotiations to make things happen. Thank you so much, Martina.
Thank you, Bridget. It was really a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you, Martina. All right, thank you all for joining BrandsTalk today. Please give it your social love and leave your comments below. You can also listen to this show as a podcast on your go. Just follow BrandsTalk on your favorite platform. If you're interested in learning more about my services, head over to my website, bridgetbrands.com. I hope you will join me again when we dive into the world of brands, live or by having me in your earbuds, walking the talk. Bye for now. Let's shine. You deserve it.